Hey guys, Chris back from CNH Small Engine. Got another informative educational video here for you too. I'm down in my shed here working on a couple of machines here today because it's relatively cold outside and I can't work outside at all, so that's why I'm down in my shed. So I apologize for the bad lighting and also the noise in the background as well too. So what we got today here is we had two machines. A couple of guys dropped off. First one right here is this older Sears Craftsman two-stage machine, and we also have a newer Troy-built machine over there as well too. I won't be talking about that one because I already have parts ordered for that one right now. So the second machine here, the old gray one right here, this one customer, it was our previous customer. They brought the machine over to us I think about 5 or 6 years ago, and they had it tuned up and stuff like that, and I think they only used it one time since the time we get back to them after they had the typical tune-up done on the machine. We replaced the belts on the machine. We did the engine tune-up. Engine tune-up, only the details like your new spark plug, change out the oil a couple times. We always put Mobil 1 full synthetic into the oil, like it's a typical 5W30 oil in there for that, because you want something that's going to flow fast and quick out there for that. You don't want to put any kind of heavyweight 30 weight oil in the machine because it'll basically drag on the engine right here as well too. So the guy only used it one time, as he claims, and I put claims in parentheses because we were checking out the belts and anything else down here as well too, because we typically check out the drive system, make sure everything looks okay on a job. And the belts look like they were getting kind of worn on here, so he might have been lying about saying that he used it one time. It looks like the belts were getting used quite heavily out there for that, so he might have loaned it out to maybe his family or friends or something like that. And he claims he took it out of his garage here this past week, because we did get snow out here this past week, about 4 or 5 inches of snow, and the thing wouldn't start. And he called us up and wanted to know why the machine wouldn't start when I think 5 years ago we had the machine tuned up and running perfectly fine for him at that one specific time. And I told the gentleman on the phone, I said, "Sir, we did the work that you requested, and we get back to you in running condition, and 5 years go by and the machine don't start." And I'd explain to the customer on the phone, because sometimes there's a lot of people out there that simply are ignorant of the fact that if you put a machine away for 5 years like this one right here, you are definitely going to be running into problems where it's going to have bad gas in there, and it's going to clog up the entire fuel system on it for that, and the gas is going to start to smell like turpentine after about a year's time and there before that. So he agreed to bring the thing back over, and we took a look at it, and the entire fuel system had to be cleaned out. The tank on here, I got the tank shut off right now for the fuel flow, and we got the carb off right now. Plus the primer bulb also needs to be replaced on here as well too. It wasn't pumping up right, because he kept on claiming it had a tear in it on there for that as well too. So we're replacing the primer bulb and the primer line. I got a new primer line on it right now for that, so definitely good to go for that. So the new primer line. We got a new primer bulb coming from one of my vendors online. I got a warehouse. I typically buy a lot of these things from out in Wisconsin, for all these older Tecumseh, genuine parts out there for that. And also we got to take the carb off, and you got the intake gasket right here. You always have to replace your intake gasket when you replace, or I should say, when you take the carb off and clean the carburetor out as well too, because these intake gaskets, you can see right here, it was like partially sticking to the carb itself, and also the air portion was sticking to the manifold right here for that. So anytime you take your carb off, always replace the intake gasket on here. Don't try to do a half ASS job. Take the carb off and put a genuine or a knock. Me personally, you can use a knockoff gasket on it. They're only like, I don't know, 80 cents on eBay out there for that. So you can probably buy like a 100 pack or something on it. They're relatively cheap out there. They're not a expensive part, so you can buy them in mass quantity, because typically I buy them in mass quantity, and I have probably about 20 or 30 just sitting in one bag for the intakes on these specific engines. This is a Tecumseh engine from Sears, or I should say for Sears, because they had the Sears designation down here on the one side right here for that. It's made specifically for Sears and Roebuck specifically. They have the Sears and Roebuck tag right here, plus you also have the Sears logo name right here as well too. And this one, I'll show you what the identification number is on here for that. So you can zoom in here. Sorry about the bad lighting, guys. I'm just down my shed here working, so I apologize for that. It's 143955001. So that's your engine, model number and stuff like that. You have to use your converter to convert it over to the Tecumseh number right there for the looking up the parts and the IPLs online for that specifically as well. So it's about a 5 horsepower engine. Has a 22 inch clearing path right here for that. So it is a 2-stage or dual stage machine right here for that. So it's good for small driveways and medium to large walkways out there for that. Plus it also self-propelled. You do have your handle up here as well too. So you got your traction drive up here on your left side. Got your traction drive over here, and you have your bale control for your augers right here as well too. So you got your 2 handles right here. Then you also have your transmission shifter drive down here as well too. So you have the one thing for transport, one for very light, wet, heavy, and also for your reverse on here as well too. So the other thing we also do on here is also you want to take the belly pan off the machine down here. It's only 4 bolts. You have 4 bolts underneath here. You take the pan off and you basically flip it up on its head right there for that. I'll show you here right now what I'm talking about. So let me put my camera down here real quick and bear with me here for a couple of seconds while I do that procedure, guys. So hold on here. Okay, there we go. Okay, sorry about that, guys. Let me get the camera focus here for you. There we go, that looks good. Okay, here's your transmission drive unit on this one specifically for that. You have a pressure plate down here. I'm just thinking a better light here. Sorry about the lighting condition down here in the shed. You have a pressure plate right here, and you have your drive wheel up here as well too. So your drive wheel drives on here, and you have your chain drive on this whole transmission assembly down here for that. And how these things work is you have this wheel. It's a rubber wheel down here. This thing varies back and forth on your pressure plate right there for that. When it's all the way over there on the one side, it does one specific speed, and when you take it over the other side, it does another specific speed. So that's how it varies between high and low on there for that. So that's how these pressure plate systems work. Plus you also have the chain drive thingamajig over here as well too, and that reduces the reduces the speed, and it increases the torque for the actual transmission to provide ample pushing power to drive the machine forwards right here for that as well too. Plus you always want to check your belt drive down here as well too. You have your belt drive down. You have your front belt right here in the front. This is your auger drive belt. And the second one here is your drive belt for your transmission right here as well too. So always be a good idea to check your auger drive belt and your transmission. That's your transmission drive belt and your auger drive belt on this specific model here for reference points. And here's your information for the model number and serial number. It's right on the back plate of these older machines. This is I think it's like a pre 2000 model right here specifically for that. So let me show you what the tag is right here. There's your identification tag right there. Sorry about that stupid lighting, guys, but let me see if I can zoom in here for you. There's your model number and serial number here for the actual code right there for that guy. This is produced, probably at least 20 years ago for that. So this is has a safety standard of 1984 on this one right here for that. So there's your safety standard information right there for that. Let me see if I can zoom in and give you a better shot. It doesn't want to. Let me see if I can do that. There we go. Try to get a better stupid shiny information on 1984. There we go. So that's everything about that specific information here. The next portion we got here is for the actual carburetor. We have one of my clients or one of my friends online want me to talk about the carbs on these older machines right here for that. So we have the carb off the job, and this is what it looks like. Genuine OEM Tecumseh carb right here. This thing is indeed stuck on here. The called the intake, or I should say the choke, or the I keep on calling it the choke. The throttle right here, it's all gummed up. Look how bad this thing is. This thing is all gummed up on here. It should be nice and nice and soft and smooth on here. It's just totally gummed up on here, and that's what happens after about 5 years. This thing is all, it just looks all rusty down inside. You can see it right there. It's all rusty. 5 years, and it smells like turpentine. Here's your float right here as well too. It's all chalked up on her for that. That's what it looks like after about 5 years of not not having any good gasoline going through it basically. And the guy should have at least started up at least 2 or 3 times a season out there and make sure it's okay. And he simply just left it in his shed, and he never even attempted to even start the machine up after 5 years right there for that. So it looks like all this all this stuff flaking off. You can see me seeing it rub it here. All that brown, it's almost like dust on her or whatever. And here's your main jet. It's all black, almost looks like tar down inside there. So that's what your main jet looks like after sitting for 5 years straight. And here's your secondary jet on the side right here as well too. It got crap all over this thing too. Let me show you here. It's all gummy on there for that one. And the bowl seal, bowl gas, I should say, bowl O-ring. It's still quite pliable on her, but it is it's getting really stretched on here. It's all gummy basically. It's really soft and easily to manipulate, if you want to call it that. And the bowl right here, here's a bowl. You get that weird green, like a greenish haze suit right there. That's all the gas that basically dried up right there for that. And this one has the original Tecumseh bowl with the tickler. So you have the tickler on here in order to drain out the carb bowl on the older ones. But the thing is, they discontinued these ticklers on the newer models right there for that because the EPA did not want people to empty out the carb, because if you empty out the carb, gasoline goes in the ground, and the gasoline goes into the ground, I should say, and that's a no-no from the EPA right there for that. So the newer carb bowls, they do not have the tickler on the bottom, which is a negative in my opinion, because it's a real quick way of draining out your carb bowl right there for that if you don't intend to use the machine for any length of time there for that. So if you can find the older bowls like this one, I do recommend getting the one with a tickler on the bottom, because all you got to do is simply clamp off the fuel line on your machine and run the machine out of gasoline, and just hit the tickler on the bottom down here like this, and it'll just depress that button just like so, and it'll open up the little valve they have down inside here. That's the little, let me see this. Hold on here. Give a little, let me get this thing situated so you can see it better. You have a little flat valve right down inside here. You just simply push up on the bottom, and this little valve just like pops up, and that's how you drain out the carb right there for that. So it's easy as eating pancakes basically. And if you do have a carburetor where you don't want to take it apart and clean it out yourself, I do recommend buying a genuine OEM carb, because unfortunately good old eBay, Fleabay, and Amazon, which I really don't like, they sell a boatload of knockoff Chinese carbs for these ones. They're typically selling for about $9 to $10 out there, guys. Personally, do not buy the $9 or $10 carburetor, because I had horror stories where I had people, at least I'd say in the past 3 years, we had people it would bring a machine over to us, and they put the knockoff Chinese carb they got off of an eBay or Amazon, and the thing basically would start leaking on them. The thing wouldn't start right, it wouldn't run right, it would surge like crazy. And I even had one guy actually had a crack or something on the actual side of the carb. It looks like the casting was defective or something. I don't know how it would have even occurred, but he had some kind of a crack on the side of the casting over here. And that's why I always recommend, if you don't want to rebuild the carb yourself, just simply get a new carb. And you can find one on eBay. The last time I checked for a new carb like this one right here, I was looking them up online about 3 or 4 days ago, because one of our past clients thought we sold parts, and we don't sell parts. And I looked them up myself, this 5 horsepower adjustable style carb right here, and they were going for about $60, I believe, plus shipping and handling and tax right there as well too. So a genuine carb is about $60 right there. You can probably find a rebuilt used one for maybe around 40, 45 if you want to have, possibly roll the dice and hopefully the guy rebuilt the carb correctly right there for that. But if you want to get genuine carb on eBay, these things typically retail for about $60 to $70 depending on where you buy it on there as well too. So if you don't want to rebuild them, simply slap a new one on there and call it a day. That's your second option right there for doing that kind of job right there for that guy. So anybody has any comments, questions, whatnot, feel free to drop me a message here. This has been a quick video of the older generation of the Sears Craftsman machine. Let me show you a front shot here as well too. There we go. Got a 9-inch impeller on here, 5 horsepower, electric start, 22-inch cutting path, and it has the older gray color schematic on this one right here as well too, with the 5 horsepower flathead, proven Tecumseh engine on here for that guy. So that's everything about this one specific machine. Feel free to drop me a message here if you have any questions detailing this video, guys. I'll see you. Have a nice day.